I am Genghis Khan, born Temujin on the rugged steppes of Mongolia in 1162. My story is one of survival, ambition, and conquest, shaped by the harsh realities of life on the open plains. I was not born into greatness, but forged it through sheer determination, and in doing so, I changed the course of history. My earliest memories are of hardship. My father, Yasuji, was a chieftain of the Borjigin clan, a small but noble tribe. When I was just 9 years old, my father was poisoned by a rival clan, the Tatars, leaving my family vulnerable. With my father gone, our clan abandoned us, leaving my mother, Holun, and my siblings to fend for ourselves in the wilderness. We were outcasts, struggling to survive by hunting and gathering. This was where I learned the brutal lesson that the world is unforgiving, and that strength is the only path to survival. As a boy, I endured hunger, cold, and the constant threat of enemies. But I also learned the value of loyalty and the importance of forging alliances. I never forgot the betrayal of my clan, and I vowed that I would rise above such weakness. Despite the hardships, I managed to escape from the bonds of poverty and obscurity, fueled by a desire for vengeance and power. In my early years, I began to gather followers, men who were loyal to me, not because of my birthright, but because of my strength and vision. My first act of retribution came when I sought revenge against the Tatars for killing my father. I fought them, defeating them in battle and ensuring they would never pose a threat to me or my people again. The Mongol tribes were divided, constantly at war with each other, but I saw the potential for unity. I knew that a united Mongol people would be unstoppable. With my growing army, I began to challenge rival leaders, defeating them in battle or forming alliances with those who would follow me. My greatest rival was Jamuka, my blood brother, who became my enemy as we both vied for power. We fought many battles, but in the end, it was my vision of unity and my loyalty to my men that gave me the strength to prevail. Jamuka sought power through fear and division, but I sought it through loyalty and merit. In 1206, after years of warfare and alliances, I succeeded in uniting the Mongol tribes under my rule. The various clans came together to declare me Genghis Khan, which means universal ruler. This was the birth of the Mongol Empire, and I set my sights on the world beyond the steppe. With the Mongol tribes united, I looked outward to the rich lands beyond our borders. My army was unlike any other, fast, disciplined, and fiercely loyal. We rode on horseback, moving swiftly across the plains, striking with precision and retreating before our enemies could respond. My generals were chosen not by their birth, but by their skill and loyalty, and my soldiers knew that they could rise in rank through bravery and merit. My first major conquest was the powerful Xia dynasty in northern China. The Chinese had long looked down on the Mongols as barbarians, but I showed them the strength of the Mongol army. We laid siege to their cities, using innovative tactics such as diverting rivers to flood their lands and building siege engines to breach their walls. In 1211, after years of relentless warfare, the Xia submitted to my rule. But I was not satisfied with China alone. To the west lay the Khwarezm Empire, a wealthy and powerful Muslim state that controlled the Silk Road. I sent envoys to the Khwarezmian Shah, offering a trade agreement and peaceful relations. But the Shah, foolishly underestimating me, executed my envoys. This was an insult I could not ignore. I responded with a brutal campaign of revenge. My army swept across Central Asia like a storm, annihilating the Khwarezm Empire. We used psychological warfare, striking terror into the hearts of our enemies. Entire cities were razed to the ground, and their populations slaughtered. Those who resisted faced total destruction, while those who submitted were spared and brought into the fold of my growing empire. The once mighty Khwarezm Empire was reduced to ashes, and I moved on, my thirst for conquest only growing. What made my army unstoppable was not just our speed and discipline, but our ability to adapt and innovate. We were masters of psychological warfare, using fear as a weapon to break the will of our enemies. We spread stories of our brutality, exaggerating the destruction we wrought, so that many cities surrendered without a fight. I also valued intelligence and strategy. My generals and I used spies to gather information about enemy movements, terrain, and weaknesses. We communicated with each other over vast distances using a system of relay riders, ensuring that orders were carried out swiftly. And we adapted the technology of the civilizations we conquered. From the Chinese, we learned the art of siege warfare, employing catapults and gunpowder to breach the walls of fortified cities. No fortress, no matter how strong, could withstand the Mongol horde. As my empire grew, I knew that I needed more than just military strength to hold it together. I created a code of laws known as the Yasa, which applied to all my subjects, whether Mongol or not. The Yasa emphasized loyalty, discipline, and justice. It outlawed theft, adultery, and betrayal, and it promoted religious tolerance. I welcomed people of all faiths into my empire: Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, and others, as long as they swore loyalty to me. The Yasa also protected the weak and the vulnerable. I knew the importance of loyalty among my people, and I rewarded those who served me faithfully. But I showed no mercy to traitors or enemies. My rule was absolute, but it was also fair, and because of this, many people under my dominion were willing to serve me rather than rebel. By the time of my death in 1227, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Sea of Japan to the Caspian Sea, the largest contiguous empire the world had ever seen. I had conquered more land than any ruler in history, and my descendants would go on to expand the empire even further, reaching into Europe, the Middle East, and beyond. I left behind a legacy of unity, discipline, and conquest. My sons and grandsons, most notably Kublai Khan, would continue my work, building on the foundations I had laid. The Mongol Empire became a center of trade, connecting east and west along the Silk Road. My policies of religious tolerance and merit-based governance helped create a sense of stability and order in the vast lands I had conquered. I am Genghis Khan, the universal ruler, born in obscurity but destined for greatness. I united the Mongol tribes and forged an empire through sheer will and military genius. My name became synonymous with power, fear, and conquest. Yet I was more than just a conqueror. I was a leader who understood the importance of loyalty, discipline, and justice. My empire changed the course of history, and my legacy endures to this day. The steppes of Mongolia shaped me, but it was my vision of a unified world that defined me. I conquered not for personal glory, but to create a lasting empire, one that would outlive me and stretch across the known world. The Mongol Empire, born from the harsh plains of my homeland, became a beacon of power and influence, and I, Genghis Khan, will be remembered as its architect.